I watched an episode of Love Island the other day and I was like,
I'm
what?
catching up on it.
It's like the craziest concept. I was like, oh my God, it's like Hunger Games for people like hooking up.
Aren't you happy that you actually have a relationship? Me as a single guy, I'm in this world. Like I go on dates and it's absolute, you can write movie scripts all the time.
Welcome. You have been chosen to spend 50 days in the Immaculate Room and will win $5 million by completing the task. Enjoy your stay in the Immaculate Room.
There we go. How are you, Kate? You're not auditioning. We clarified.
I'm auditioning for the part of Kate Bosworth talking about Immaculate Room. Yeah, I know. Thank God I'm not auditioning. I'm good. Yeah, just excited to talk about this movie. It was such a it was a real joy to be a part of, and I'm so happy with it. It's like you always hope that something you're a part of comes out in a way that you like, but it doesn't always happen, as you know. And like this one, I'm just so proud of. I would watch it if I wasn't in it. I think Mukunda just did an incredible job. So I'm
oh
happy.
my gosh, this movie's been with me since February. You guys debuted at Mammoth.
Yeah, so, were you there?
No, I wasn't. My mom actually sadly had been diagnosed with cancer as I was about to go to Mammoth. So I stayed back with her and I didn't end up going, but I did do the virtual interviews with Ashley and Mukunda then, at that time. That was back in February. And now, the movie's coming back again to me. I got to rewatch it. I spoke to Mukunda again. I spoke to Emile. Like, you're the final piece of the puzzle here. I've had everyone to talk to about this movie. And I remember when I first saw it back, the screener in February, I was blown away by it because just such a compelling story about what you would do put in that situation. It's easy to be like, oh yeah, for all that money, of course I do it, but like, it's not that easy, right?
I know. I think that's what's like really compelling about the movie. And like, certainly I think Emile and I talk a lot about this when we first read the script, is that like, if your initial reaction at first is, whether you're reading it or watching it, is like, oh, I could do 50 days for $5 million. That's piece of cake. Like, whatever they throw at me, whatever, all you do is think about the end goal. Yeah. But like Emile and I, we were shooting on a soundstage that was, the Immaculate Room was built for us to shoot on. We were working like 12, 14 hours a day and got to go home and got to see other people. And like, by the end of the day, we were like it's a lot, and we're not even going through the things that Kate and Mikey were psychologically going through. So I don't know. I think it's a lot harder than it looks,
Oh, totally. And it's like, I love the contrast. I talked to Emile about this too, of your characters. He's like ready to literally push the button and get out. He's kind of, restless. And your character just has this like mindset and one driven goal. Like, I need to stay here no matter what. And like, just constantly pulling him back and even offering him little treats here and there, to keep him sane. Like, the motivation of your character is next level. Because if they were both like, I don't know if we can do this, like, you needed one to be opposite mindset of the other to make this work too.
For sure. I mean, I think that's what's interesting about the movie is the character dynamics between my character's name is Kate as well in the movie.
Was that your choice? Mukunda made that? Like, that was such a cool thing, actually.
Yeah, it's funny, like, little sidebar, but I think, have I played another Kate? Maybe I auditioned for Kate. I can't remember. But like, when the character's name is your name, there's something about it that just makes things so much easier. Like, there's at least the name you don't have to pretend. You're like, I know that.
Yeah, that must be big psychologically.
Yeah, it's like up front, like the name that you believe. But yeah, so there's Kate and Mikey, and like, Kate is very she's very A-type. She's very she finds a lot of comfort in the idea of control. She's very determined. I feel like she's like kind of psychologically athletic, like, I think she went into the room and was like, okay, I'm going to get up every day at this time. I'm going to do my exercises. I'm going to eat and drink whatever they provide for me. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to do my meditation. And then, I'm going to go to sleep at this time, and then it'll be a new day. And that new day, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, I think she had like a real set plan on like how to conquer the room. Whereas Mikey was like, yeah, man, like whatever, it's gonna be cool. And like I think that those are the main differences in their relationship. So obviously, you know, whoever's pulling the strings behind the scenes for the room is gonna exploit the sort of major differences between those two people, and like cracks definitely form, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
between them.
And one of my favorite scenes, though, Ashley Greene is in this movie, you know, and she makes quite the appearance when we see her. I just loved Emile's face. He said that was like his real reaction. Actually, I'm like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
couldn't fake that. And yours was just like, oh, whatever, just a
Yeah,
chick,
I was
like
he was
nothing. You know what I mean?
I know, she was just like, you know, he was like, I think that's that scene people talk about a lot, because I think like we weren't playing for the humor at all. I mean, it was like, I was playing for the honesty of my character being like
Mhm.
kind of very like stoic and you know, like wheels turning in terms of like, okay, obviously they're messing with us. This is ridiculous. How long is this going to last? Looking at Mikey and being like, give her your shirt. Like, it's like, you know, whatever.
You're right.
And he's like, oh yeah, sorry. It was like, it was so like, we didn't even rehearse that. It was like, we just shot it. And Mukunda was laughing so hard.
Gosh,
Like
it was
he
so
couldn't
natural
stop
every way
laughing.
around.
When we were shooting it, he couldn't stop laughing. It was like absurd and so real, I think, especially Emil's reactions. Like he was such
It
a
was
typical,
great. It was literally, I'm like, I think anyone would react that way. Kind of like, what? You know, it was just priceless. He's like, yeah, that was
cartoon.
like,
He had a cartoon like Bugs Bunny, like jaw dropping. Like
I was like, did you even know Ashley's in this movie or she's coming in like that? And he's like, I'm not actually sure that was the case, but like,
I think though, like, because the room, so basically, because like Mukunda had it planned where, you know, the room was built in such a way where like the doors that we all walk through to get into the room, like really do open into the room. And Mukunda had a lot of cameras, like that was a lot of steady cam. So we could just kind of go straight into it. And like, I don't think Emile, I don't think he really
knew it was happening like that, or in that
well,
moment.
I think he knew, and I also, because like I was like very close with Ashley because she and I had shot like the very first scene that was shot in the movie was a scene between Ashley and myself because Emile was finishing up another project. So she and I had already bonded, and like actually the behind the scenes was very unlike Kate's character. I was very like I was just very aware and like concerned about her like well-being, you know what I mean? So I was so I just wanted to be there for her. So I really knew what was coming, but I don't think Emile really thought it through, which was brilliant because it was like so real, you know?
That's why I asked him, I'm like, dude, that was the craziest, like most honest reaction I think I've seen. And he's like, well, I didn't really know.
Yeah, I know. And it was really like, it was such a fun dynamic to play with because like when the camera stopped rolling, Emile and Ashley and I were like, we just felt like kids in this room. And it was so playful and so fun. And I think because like weirdly, I think the COVID protocols worked in our favor because there really wasn't any access granted to a lot of crew members. So like normally crew sort of around watching whatever. And like in this particular case, it was just Emile and myself and Ashley like having like a real run of the set with like Mukunda and Rasa, our DP. So it really did feel like we were able to inhabit the space and like these characters without much distraction. Like we just were constantly in it in this room. It was pretty like synonymous with, you know, the characters in the movie. You know, it was cool. It felt very like artistically experimental, but in a good way. Like it just felt like everyone wanted to play for what felt honest, because if it didn't, then it was like pretty obvious, you know?
Right. The camera's gonna catch it in there. There's no other distraction. That room is
I know. And it's only 3 people. Like you can't hide behind like a group, you know. It was like the spotlight was like on the 3 of us. And so it was great. And I worked with Emile once before.
And force of nature. I asked him that. He said it helped you guys a lot to kind of bond and have that firsthand.
Totally. Yeah, no, it really did. I mean, because that was a movie we shot in Puerto Rico, and it was like the story took place during a hurricane. So it was just like a lot of uncomfortable elements. Like we were wet the
Mhm.
whole time. We were like fighting through like wind and like fake rain machines and whatnot. And you get to know someone pretty quickly when you're in like those types of like elemental challenges. You know what I mean? Like you see how much patience someone has, you see how reactive they are, you know, and Emile like really just like loves to play. And I always say this about him, like he is incapable of offering a false beat. Like he's so true and believable and honest with everything that he does.
Rawness. There's this rawness about him. When I think of him, it's like this honest rawness on screen. You know, it's like that. It's very relatable to like a human. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, he's just a very honest actor. And so therefore, it's a real pleasure to work with him because it requires a lot of honesty from you. So so it was great because he, like, as I said, Ashley and I worked the first day and then he came in. And so there was, Emile and I never even had a conversation about the characters. I mean, we literally like walked on set and like we're Kate and Mikey and that was it. But we had such a strong foundation of friendship and like knowing each other. I mean, like I would literally buy him French fries on our last movie and like, we would be like soaking wet and like there was nowhere to put the ketchup. So I would like squeeze the ketchup on my hand and like hold my hand while he dipped his fries in my ketchup.
That's awesome.
So it's like kind of had a relationship-ish. So when we like went into the room, there was so much, he's like my brother, you know? So it's like, even though obviously we're romantic in this movie, like there's such a like foundational safety between the two of us. So I think it worked, you know, in our favor.
That's awesome. Yeah, it just came off very natural on screen. And Mukunda, I'm like, you know what? There's like a 6 degrees of Kate Bosworth right now because everyone I'm talking to or interviewed to either work with. I just talked to Scott Mann, who you did a movie with, Heist. He did Fall. And now it's a crazy claustrophobic movie. Jim Sturgis, I just talked to recently.
I love him.
Yeah, everyone's doing well. You know, everyone's working, doing fun, interesting projects. So it's cool that, and Mukunda did another movie recently. I just saw Collide with Ryan Phillippe.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
And was Emile in that as well?
No, he wasn't. It was Jim Gaffigan. And
right.
Ryan Phillippe.
Jim Sturgis is another actor who's like incapable of a false beat. Like he's
I love him too. Yep.
And he's such a like wonderful human. I just love him as a person.
Great guy. And yeah, so Mukunda's like all over the place too. He's got this movie, the other one just released 2 weeks ago.
He's so talented though.
He's great.
And he's such an artist friendly filmmaker. Like it's quite rare actually where you have someone who's a visionary. Like he's so strong with his visual. The movie, I mean, I remember one of the first questions I asked him when we spoke about the script was, I was like, so how are you planning on keeping the interest of an audience for 90 minutes just in a white room? Because it's like, yeah, sure, there can be great character chemistry, but ultimately like it's a visual medium and you're staring at a white room. Right. And so he was very articulate in how he was going to light the room and how he wanted to shoot the room and how the room starts to change and has a life of its own. And I think he really nailed it because I mean, tell me what you think, but I didn't watch the movie ever and think like, ugh, I'm so sick of watching this room. I was like compelled by the room.
Oh yeah, no, I asked him about it. I'm like, my question was to him, how do you create this tension for an hour, 40 or so with nothing changing? How do you live with tension when the viewer's stuck to the seat like I was glued? Yeah. And not moving. And he broke it down. It's about, he loves psychology. I think you need to like be interested in the subject matter of psychology because in Collide, and I watched a lot of his films too. So he's just really curious about human psychology and putting people in situations where it's like they need to go to another level, and that sort of thing. And that's what I think makes it compelling. It's just the psychological nature of like humanizing it and making it relatable to the viewer. Like, oh, what would I do in that? And it just keeps you gripped.
And Emile says it really well. Like, he's like, the Mukunda is really clever because like, it's not a like soapboxy intellectual movie. Like Mukunda, I think, was very clever in how he put the sort of like gaming aspect up front, which I think like keeps it super entertaining. And then like you know, if you want to take that sort of like psychological pill, like it's there for you if you want to, you know, in that sort of character dynamic, self-reflective way. But I think Mukunda was really clever in how he like wrapped it in that like shiny psychological thriller bow, you know.
Maybe there's gonna be a reality show called Immaculate Room after all this, you
We
know?
talked about it. I know, but I
Yeah.
think I wonder, it's like, there's so many crazy reality shows now, right? I mean, it's like, I feel like people I don't know how they do it.
I mean, they always come up with ideas for something, you know, pushing the boundaries, you know? We thought Survivor was like, ooh,
I
that's
know.
daring, but it's getting crazier and crazier.
I watched an episode of Love Island the other day and I was like,
I'm
what?
catching up on it.
It's like the craziest concept. I was like, oh my God, it's like Hunger Games for people like hooking up.
Aren't you happy that you actually have a relationship? Me as a single guy, I'm in this world. Like I go on dates and it's absolute. You can write movie scripts all the time. Anyone who's in a relationship should be very lucky, you know?
I honestly am like the worst dater though. I'm such a relationship type of girl. I like, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know how I'd fare out there.
You should be lucky that you don't have to go through it. It is insane out there for singles in a dating world. So wherever you put it, you know, so keep the relationship aspect to it. That's my goal in life, you know, to strive to find someone to not have to do all that and be, you know, they contact me for these reality shows. I just got a audition noted, like came through like, hey, we would like to audition for Temptation Island. I'm like, how do you get my information?
How
like,
wild. Would you ever do it?
I've auditioned for The Bachelor before, and
what's
I
that like?
went through the process for it, for Bachelorette actually, and I guess they have me on the list for all these dating reality shows. I get hit up like every other month. I kid you not, you know, to audition or something for.
What is that kind of audition process look like? Are you just like, do you have to be like really cheesy?
So now it's like a huge questionnaire. You're filling out like literally like your life away on this like 60 pages of like intel that you need to provide them about your life and dating life, what, you know, every little instance. And then it's like you do Zoom interviews and then you do like a few round of them. Then you get to it's a process. I'm telling you.
Oh, I bet.
It's worse than auditioning for a role because they like vet you.
It's you. It's your real. Are you watching The Bachelorette this season?
Oh yeah. It's pretty good with two Bachelorettes.
Justin and I. So my boyfriend is obsessed with The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Like he's not secretive about it. He like goes on like podcasts about it. You know,
heard. I know he's a fan.
Yeah. He's such a fan. And I had never, to be honest, I hadn't watched much reality TV before him. He like jokes. He's like, I hope I'm not like ruining you. but he for the Bachelorette this season, we've been like glued to it. It's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah. And I mean, I've been for years.
Oh my God.
I have a podcast and like a blog. I started like the first Bachelor blog back in like 2017.
Oh my God. Okay. See, that's how little I know about it.
Yeah, I've been on it. So I can understand it. You got sucked in, Kate. Now you got to go through it every season.
I know. I'm like, and I'm trying to get off social media more. I feel like I'm swapping like one illness with another.
Yep. Well, I mean, it could be worse. You know, at least guys can bond over this. You know, it's nothing better to be in a good relationship and kind of look like, oh shit, glad we're not doing that or have to go through that. So
full goals, just like sit back and watch The Bachelor.
And you kill 2 hours of time, you know, so.
Exactly.
This was fun. We're almost the same age, but you've been my teenage crush for a year. So this is really cool for me to talk to you. This is like a personal bucket list item.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's been such a pleasure to talk with you. It's really fun.
Oh my gosh. Can't wait to see what's next. I'm excited for Justin's Barbarian, and you guys got a movie, House of Darkness. I literally just got the screener today and I'm going to be doing a press for that too. So that's something.
Oh, great. Okay. You have to watch. I mean, I know this is like not my thing, but you have to watch Barbarian.
Oh, I can't wait. It's on my must-see list.
It is one of the best, and I love horror. It is one of the best horror movies I have ever seen. Like to me, it's like, it's up there with, you know, how Get Out was like really like surprising. And like you didn't really know what you were going to expect going in. And like, I always say to people, like, go into Barbarian knowing nothing if you can, because it's like one of those like incredible, shocking experiences. Like, it's so good.
Oh, I can't wait. And I
You
can't wait
love
to
it.
see
You
you
have to
guys
get a
this week.
screener.
I'll be watching you too. I got the screener either tonight or tomorrow in the House of Darkness. So I'm excited about that too.
Cool. Thank you.
Talk to you soon, Kate. I hope this is the first and last, you know. But
No. Oh, thank you so much. I hope to speak.
pleasure.
Okay, good. Take care. You too.
Bye-bye, Kate.
Bye.
Bye.
Enjoy your stay